So here we're now looking at the photos taken with the Samyang 35mm f1.4 lens, which is a fully manual lens only. Now this is obviously a little bit more zoomed in, as it were, compared to the 24mm, and for some reason, whenever I put it on, I was just instantly kind of going, ooh, I like this a bit more. Now I normally like stuff to be really wide angle, and 35mm on a full frame body isn't considered to be really wide angle very much, but it's not kind of narrow, it's not a 50mm or anything like that. If you put this lens onto a crop sensor camera, yeah, it would be the equivalent of a 50mm lens. But there's something about it on the full frame which I just, instantly, I liked it more than the 24mm from Samyang, and I still can't quite put my hands on it. But again, looking into the details of the images that I was getting from this lens, again, this was on the Canon 5D Mark II, a 22 million pixel camera, and the depth of field perception you get here, so this guy is fully sharp, like he's nice and sharp. You can see, you know, all the way up to the kind of ridges in his hat, but yet the mushy, blurry background is just lovely enough to just show that kind of little three-dimensional feel. You know, that's kind of just a nice kind of portrait of something there. You know, maybe if that is black and white, man walking off the distance or something like that. I think I instantly like this one a little bit more. And okay, it is still kind of wide angle, but for what I'm used to, it's not that wide angle as it used to be. I'm pretty impressed with the shallowness of depth of field. Wait, that's not even at f1.4 either. So, ooh, look at that. Off to the plants in the foreground, off to the old man over there. Oh, that's nice. That's with the 35mm f1.4, at f1.4 there. Going into like the zooming in on the flower, I looked at this one and said, "Ooh, that's not very good. That looks a bit rubbish, actually." I was just not focusing in the right position. As you'll see, I think I got one which was much better focused, and this is, you can see the individual bits that make up that flower bit. I don't even know the terms. Let's see if I can develop this a little bit better. So here, with a little bit of sharpening and a little bit of adjusting of the exposure, to the point where you're able to see the individual bits that make up the head of this thing, I was very, very impressed with that. That's getting down to pixel level sharpness, without a doubt. So that was pretty cool. And also just look at how, again, how shallow the depth of field is from just this kind of mushy, or well, from the dirt here, to being able to see, you know, you can see everything there, to then just how quickly it becomes mushy mud. And then same with the other one. So the shooting at f1.4, this is an astonishing lens to really look at. Quite interesting with the sun coming out there, just peeking behind the Edinburgh Castle. Maybe a cool HDR potential shot there. So that's f1.4, that's f22. 1.4, 22. 1.4, let's, oh well, is it one? Yeah. 22 there, and we can make it brighter, darker, brighter, darker. Ooh, nice. Again, so on my way back from this walk, we went past the fountain, and for me, I had to be a heck of a lot further away, just because it was... normally I like to be close and wide, and here I had to be far away and not very wide. So I wasn't a fan of the lack of distortion whenever shooting this kind of nature slash urban slash architecture-y stuff. So if I was out in the streets, I would either want something super wide, like a 14 or 17mm, so something that's twice as wide as this. But either way, what I would say is that this, if you're wanting something which has no distortion whatsoever, it is incredibly sharp, and I'm not seeing any vignetting going on at all. This lens is astonishing. So here, let's focus on this, and that is looking so very, very sharp. Let's see, over in the high, look here, you've got some very high contrast areas, where it's like the bits of the branches going into blown out sky there. And we've got a bit of blue and a little bit of green vignetting going on in the corners there. And if I change the exposures or anything like that, it kind of goes away once you bring it down. But definitely, you can see again here a strong green chromatic aberration on the blurred out background objects, which is very similar to how the Samyang 24mm handled it. I think the 35 may actually be a little bit better though, definitely. And then here's just a showing you of, this is an it's smallest aperture, f22, and you can see pretty much everything is totally black, but with the Canon we can rescue a lot of that. And then at f1.4 you can see that's a huge amount brighter. And can we rescue anything in the background? Nah, not at all. So it is an impressive amount of brightness going from that to that. Let's see if we can get a nice shot of these berries which are on the tree here. What? And let's focus in nice and close. Ah, look at the bokeh in the background. At f1.4, f22, obviously none, but interesting. Look at it disappear, there's it in focus. Very smooth background stuff. Let's get a photo of these little guys. Cool, I like that. Cool. Here is looking at the bokeh that you get from this lens, and this was looking up into some branches. I'll show you the video just now. And again, the sharpness on the objects which we were actually shooting, so these little berries, the depth of field is very, very super duper shallow. So some of the berries are in focus, some of the berries aren't, or some of the berries are already out of the plane of focus. So that's how you have to be very careful to know exactly what you're shooting. But the background, lovely circular orbs going on there. I was very happy with those. It is a little bit distracting, that one there, but that's just because that's what the background was. It was distracting bunch of leaves and twigs and all that kind of stuff, which would give that kind of extreme circular impression in the background there. Going back to roughly where I started the actual path, again, for me, I don't know if I would really take this lens out as a walk. What would I use this lens? This lens is more a street photography one if you're taking pictures of people. Not if you're taking pictures of the landscape of the street that you're doing. So here, like, I was trying to get a shot of down the street. Okay, it's kind of wide, so you're seeing all the way straight down the road there, and you're seeing kind of over to that area. For me, I like to be a heck of a lot wider than that. But again, what I would say is that the great thing about the Samyang lenses is that their prices are so much cheaper than what you can get from Nikon or Canon, that you can actually buy them, find out if you like these focal lengths, especially on the camera that you're using, and if you don't like them, you know, you can sell them very easily for very little loss of money whatsoever. And again, so for me, not great for landscapey urban shots, but for street photography, if it's taking pictures of people going around the place, then yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I reckon it's safe to say these are probably the dullest photos you're ever going to see on any kind of lens test shoot thing. But what I would say is the 35mm feels like a much bigger lens, and well, it is a little bit bigger. But it also just feels a little bit like, you know, they're built both exactly the same, but for me, I like it more than the 24. Now, I'm a kind of wide angle kind of guy. I like my super wides. But the 35 just feels like you're that little bit closer. It's a little bit more macro. It's a bit... I think if it was my own money, my own choice, my own lens I was going to buy, I'd go for the 35. And especially for the music video which I did before, 35 lens was the one which I opted for every single time. Again, even when you're doing kind of long distance, well, when I say this is across the road distance, so this must have been about 5-6 meters away, you've still got a nice blurred out background, so you can see the buildings, although identifiable, they're nice and blurry. Meanwhile, the lovely car, the turbo here, is it really stands out from the background. And that was from a good 5 meters away, which is pretty, on a 35mm on a full frame, you're getting pretty much to the hyperfocal distance. If you don't know what the hyperfocal distance is, Google it. I may have done a video of it already. It's just kind of where, once you get to a certain distance, everything's in focus. But yeah, I thought that was quite cool. And then you may have seen that photo from another video which I did where I was talking about I hate Photoshop. And then just getting... So here, again, I think this is quite nice. There's no distortion at all. Like the great up and downs going on. And I think, you know, if there's a person standing walking there, that would be a great shot. I like that a lot. That kind of, I don't even know what the term is for that type of photography where it is kind of abstracty, arty, urban-y stuff. I think this lens works an absolute treat. So yeah, for me, 35 definitely more preferable than the 24 for the fact that it is a little bit more cropped in and it lends itself more to street photography, however not the landscape urban photography. Two completely different things. So there you go, that's my little tips. Hope that helps. Cheers, bye bye.